was an exercise we did back in the day about imaginary vacations, and I didn't know how quite to go about it because it seemed like it was. I didn't know how to get specific enough, I guess.
Okay. I have a chapter in my book called What a Great Wall. Now, I don't really know if this story is true, but as I recall, when George Bush saw the Great Wall of China, and when he came off the Great Wall of China, the press was there and they looked at him for a comment, and what he said was, "What a great wall," which I just thought was hilarious. I mean, wow, that's how we respond to the Great Wall of China. Anyway, so out of all of this, it really hit me that our work is often like creating an imaginary vacation, a vacation we never took. And really in its simplest form, God knows, okay, there's so much, but in its simplest form, I mean, the vacation could very easily be to New London, Connecticut, where you're building the world of Long Day's Journey into Night. But you're still trying to make this world believable and make us believe you're living in it. You did the same thing in class, Teo, the other day when you were building it. In a sense, you were building this trip to this classroom where where this particular event took place. Anyway, I thought we had a great example in class at one point when James took his imaginary trip to the Great Wall of China. And James was not only connected to what he was talking about, we all saw and experienced the world he created. In fact, it was so horrifying that only an idiot would ever decide to go to the Great Wall of China. I mean, everything about it. The 8-hour bus ride to get to the wall. And then the vendors hawking their many great walls at the base of the step. Every single choice he made fed him. Every image was specific, and it brought his trip to life. I mean, it was a perfect example of shopping for choices. And he even admitted that when he started it, he thought he was going to like it. And by the time he started putting the elements together, he said, "This sounds just awful." Okay, look, keeping in mind the difference between a technique exercise and working on a specific play is that the technique exercise is to help you develop the tools so that when you're doing a play, and the play will then dictate your choices. So very much like your classroom, it dictated your choices. James invented his own play, and then he earned it. You may remember this one, Greg. When Teresa built her imaginary vacation, it was working in an Irish pub, which she also hated, which actually made me think all my students hate vacations. But what was funny about that was, I know this will come as a shock, but Joel missed what the assignment was about. And after Teresa built how much she hated working in this Irish pub, he said, "God, you're the only person I know who hated being in Ireland." And I thought, what a success. So look, I mean, here's the issue. Every play is a lie. You're not Hamlet. You do not live in Denmark. In addition, your uncle did not kill your father and marry your mother. And yet, you need to make the audience believe this. And do it in iambic pentameter, by the way. I may have mentioned this before, but Harold Clurman, who was one of the great minds of the American theater and one of the founders of the group theater, wrote a book called Lies Like Truth. And I think it's a perfect definition. It's a perfect definition of acting. It is a lie that needs to sound like it's the truth. Stella put it another way because, well, she was Stella, and she basically said, every play is a fiction. It is your job to defictionalize the fiction. And she added to that, and you have to be careful how many fictions you use to defictionalize it, which is, eventually it keeps you from going down road after road after road. Building an imaginary vacation, I think, is a good start to building a fictional world of a play. Everything about a play is filled with images, experiences of the past, relationships to everything we describe. And making someone believe that you were in Paris last weekend at a coffee shop brings you one step closer to making an audience believe that you're Nora, who's married to Torvald and living in a small town in Norway. I think I will add to this episode, if I may, a chapter called "There's a Place for Us," and I promise I won't sing the song. And it all has to do with the same thing. It's an essential part of building the world of the play is that you are able to live in the place, the circumstances, and live off the circumstances. It's an extension of our visual work. And I think that's where you got in trouble, Teo, the other day in class, is you were building it, but you weren't living off of it. It was absolutely, everybody saw it specifically, but you weren't living off of it. And that's part of the imagination, I think, is being able to stand in a room and talk out both what's there and what's not there in an experiential manner. And that really gives you the play. I can't say it enough. Stop reporting. Whether it's occupied Amsterdam in World War II or a gay bar in Greenwich Village in 1966, you must see the place specifically in a way that affects you. Every play takes place someplace.
Careful about hitting that.
Yeah, yes, okay. Every play takes place someplace. I mean, words without a place is an unnatural condition of nature. I mean, there is no time that words exist in a vacuum. So it's helpful. It's totally, totally helpful. A funny thing happened. Petrovsky was recently filmed an episode of The Blacklist where he played a hacker. And television moves so damn fast. And as a guest star, they really weren't interested in spending any time with him. And there was a scene that took place in the hacker's lair. So he asked if he could stay on the set while they were lighting and not bring in the B team. And basically what he did was to talk out everything in the lair. He just sat there and talked it out. He had about 10 minutes. He had a clear relationship with everything. And at the end of it, the director looked at him and he said, "Oh my God, that was incredible. I'm taking you to LA. I'm going to use you in my next project," which clearly was never going to happen and didn't. But the point is that ability to talk out and build the place gives you a kind of ownership because you know where you are. Stella said that Brando would go to the set every day an hour early. And he would just live in it and talk out his relationship to everything. Chris Carmack related to me that when he was doing the first episode of Nashville, he was absolutely petrified. But he took a moment to talk out a relationship. I think he told me it was like 3 items on the set, and I think one of them was even a doorknob. But building the place and the relationship to it grounded him. The fact that you can visualize the circumstance of your play means you're not stuck in a vacuum. And that makes sense. I mean, it's like too often we're nowhere. I mean, too often we're so into the lines, we're so into how to say the lines, we're so into, even if we're into the action, but we're not any place. And look, one object created fully and truthfully, that has real meaning to you, can bring it to you. I think that's all I have to say about that. Okay.
Okay. I feel like we might want to do that one again. It felt a little disjointed, like I wasn't entirely clear what the episode was about.
All right. We'll do it again.
Because